Hey, I'm Caleb Bridges and this is Leavetherest. And today's video is titled Act Now, Don't Wait. Kind of sounds like an infomercial. But the background to why I wanted to make this video is both from a conviction that I have felt for a long time, and also just as of recent, as of today. I've found that sometimes in my own personal spiritual life that sometimes I'll find that I'll be praying to improve a certain aspect of my life. And so, for example, one thing about in my own life that I really have felt convicted of recently is just the fact that I don't feel like I truly sacrifice for other people, not in a selfless way, not in a way of self-denial and really seeking to better another person. And so that's something that I really want to improve. But what I've noticed is that I've prayed to sacrifice and to be selfless for a long time. And so at least the question I ask myself is, well, why hasn't this improved? Like, why haven't I become better at this? And I think the reality that kind of struck me was the fact that so many times I stop at simply the prayer and the desire to do what is right. In other words, I notice something that isn't so great in my life, or maybe I just notice something that I want to start doing more of, and I feel a conviction of, hey, I want to improve this, or I want to change this. And there's a desire to do what's right there, but I stop right there. And I think I kind of do it subconsciously. I'm not sitting around thinking, oh, as long as I pray about it, I'm okay. But ultimately, I think I stop with the desire to do good. In other words, I think somewhere inside of me, it's like, okay, as long as I have the right heart, as long as I'm wanting the right things, that's good. And again, that's not something I'm consciously thinking, but I think that somehow that idea slips into my mind, and maybe it slipped into yours. And I think the proof that idea has at least slipped into my own life is the fact that for something I've prayed for a long time, I haven't seen a great improvement. And maybe I've become a little more selfless, but it's definitely not to the point that I want it to be. And so for me, that was just really a conviction that maybe I'm praying for things and they're good things, and I'm feeling the desire, the God-given desire, that I want to be more sacrificial, but am I going out each day looking for opportunities to sacrifice for others? Am I thinking when I face different circumstances and situations, ooh, maybe this is a situation where I can deny myself and sacrifice for another in order to help them or to better them in some way? No, I really haven't been. If anything, I've waited till the next day or something and then prayed those same prayers of, Lord, help me to be more, giving and more sacrificing for others. But I've kind of stopped right there. And so I think probably, at least I've noticed in my own life, I think I've done this with a lot of things. As long as I feel like I have the right heart or the right desires and God is working as far as convicting me of certain things, well, then I'm good. And obviously that's broken, because what the convictions and the right good desires are supposed to lead to is action, right? It's supposed to lead to a changed life. It's supposed to lead to me improving in those areas, not stopping right there. And I think for many of us that can sometimes be a problem for us in our spiritual life, is that we pray about something and we have the right desire, but then nothing more comes of it. And so I'm a big C.S. Lewis fan, and one of his books, Screwtape Letters, there's a quote that I think is really good, and it kind of goes along with a little bit of the idea of what I'm talking about today. And so just to give a little context, if you haven't read the book, this is a book about a demon training a younger demon on how to basically secure the soul of a human being. And so this is what the senior demon says. It says, the great thing is to prevent a man from doing anything. As long as he does not convert it into action, it doesn't matter how much he thinks about something. Let the little brute wallow in it. Let him, if he wants to, write a book about it. That is often an excellent way of sterilizing the seeds which God plants in a human soul. Let him do anything but act. No amount of piety in his imagination and affections will harm us if we keep it out of his will. The more often he feels without acting, the less he will be able to feel, and the less he'll be able to act in the long run. And, after reading that, I just felt like, man, that's so true. Ultimately, what matters is the change of my life, the change of the action. So putting things into action. So what I would challenge you with, and what I'm challenging myself with, is to act and not just pray, not just stop at the feeling of having a good will or a good desire, but to act on it, to look for opportunities. And I think we can do this really in two ways. The first way is to actually make a plan. Now, I think most people have great ideas and they have desires for their future or goals in life they want to achieve, but few people make plans on how to achieve those. And obviously, we can't plan for everything. It's not like I can sit down and plan out how I'm going to sacrifice for something for someone tomorrow. But what I can do is I can look back on the last week and I can start thinking about all the situations I had that happened that I could have been more sacrificial in. And then I can begin to plan for what I'm going to do when I face those same circumstances in the future. In other words, I'm setting myself up. I'm making a plan for how I'm going to react in order to improve this area. Now, this whole illustration of sacrifice is simply what I've been talking about. But this is really, this whole conversation, though, has to do with, anything we're looking at changing or trying to improve, not just sacrifice. But the second thing I think, and probably the most important, is that we just pray and we ask that God would keep us from being a person that prays for things but does not act. In other words, we pray that God would grant us action to his convictions. We ask that God would come and assist us and lead us into actually putting into motion or putting into action these convictions and these thoughts, because that's so crucial and critical to this whole conversation. And so I think that those two things are a great way to begin to improve this. And I hope this video has been a little bit encouraging for you. Stay tuned for more videos, and thanks for watching.